my job is to look at areas where we are weak. And what I feel is that, the place where we need to improve the most is, our communication, the engagement with the community, and just really breaking down things for easier consumption by external stakeholders, and doing that on a very regular basis. So to be successful in this industry, you need to get, three things right. You need to get the product right. You need to have sufficient amount of traction, and you need to get the community aspect right. There are people who get the community aspect right but are not able to build product. There are people who can build product but not get enough traction. So I think getting all three and at the same time is super difficult. You have persistence as the chain. You can think of it in a way as the backbone on which things run, as the chain. As Aditya highlighted, it's an app chain. Now, obviously, people are very familiar with what L1s are. People are very familiar with what L2s are. And app chain is something that we're seeing multiple ecosystems now kind of talk about. And app chain is nothing but, it's a chain that's created for a very specific use case. In our case, that is liquid staking. And so the entire DeFi activity taking place on top of persistence chain is primarily focused on liquid staked assets. Obviously, we don't want to eliminate some of the other non-liquid staked assets, but the primary focus, or what makes us unique, is that the assets are liquid staked. So the features and functionalities that will be at the application level will be optimized for liquid staked assets. So the first app, being pSTAKE, STK Atom is issued on pSTAKE, but pSTAKE, in a way, has gone multi-chain, where it exists on top of persistence, but also kind of exists on other chains with, as is evident by liquid staked BNB, liquid staked ETH. From a high level perspective, how do we see that integrating with persistence? That's essentially what Nikhil talked about, where through Axelar or other solutions in the future, we bring some of those assets onto persistence chain. So very soon STK BNB, eventually STK ETH will all come onto persistence chain. Same with Dexter. Dexter being focused on liquid staked assets as well. Of course, it focuses on some other non-liquid staked Cosmos assets as well. But our belief is that, especially within the Cosmos ecosystem, given the application chain philosophy, where multiple Cosmos projects are all app chains or are all POS chains, we believe that a huge amount of assets within Cosmos will exist in their liquid staked format, to make sure that the chain security is something that is kept intact, but the tokens are still liquid enough, which is something that the Cosmos ecosystem has really struggled with. What we try to do is make sure that we progress in the nicest possible way, with really strong focus on product development, really strong focus on improving the fundamentals of the project. And we believe, I've been in crypto for about 6 years, on a long enough time scale, that fundamental, the strength in fundamentals, eventually the market responds to it, or eventually is noticed by all stakeholders. And so that's our core belief. From my perspective, it's truly humbling to see how far we've come, from 2020, early 2020, which was the previous bear market, where we were, really struggling to raise capital, to, putting together capital, putting together the initial team, building the initial brand, and then slowly becoming better at product development, running software development life cycles, and refining those processes. Every single thing we've kind of figured out on the fly, and there's nothing that the team has put its mind to and not figured out. Takes a little bit of time. And so from that perspective, really appreciate the patience of the community and the support that the community has provided to us. And so I personally couldn't be more excited, to see how things flourish. And, our goal at a very conservative estimate would be to try and, at least personally for me, to try and hit the 30 plus million mark relatively soon, and get into the top 50 chains, and then kind of keep progressing from there.